Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are going to be doing this. This is going to be our playoff review format. We're going to go through the first game ones of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we're going to go through Monday night's games and Tuesday night's games all in this one video. So every other day at noon Eastern, we will have our recaps for the last 2 days of the playoffs. We're only doing this for the first round. We'll see how it goes into the second round, and I'll kind of play around with it. So every other day, we will have playoff recaps. So with that said, let's get into the first night's action. We had some really good games in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Bruins heading down to Carolina to PNC Arena to take on the President. Oh no, they didn't win the President Trophy. The Metropolitan Division winning Carolina Hurricanes. The Boston Bruins, I gave the Bruins winning this series. So this series didn't go off the way I expected necessarily. The Carolina Hurricanes came out of the gate and they looked pretty good. I mean, both teams, it was kind of a back and forth. It seemed like they were trying to feel each other out in the first period. So we didn't see any goals in the first period. We didn't see any goals in the second period from the Boston Bruins. It wasn't until the third period that the Bruins got on the board. That was their only goal of the game. And that was from Taylor Hall, of all people, right? So Taylor Hall got the goal for the Bruins. But the Carolina Hurricanes kind of started getting going in the second period. And that's where this game started to turn, and very quickly. Seth Jarvis, his first goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think the first player from his draft to score a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So congratulations there to Seth Jarvis. So Jarvis got on the board, 1-0 Carolina. The Carolina Hurricanes got another goal late in the second period from Nino Niederreiter. No real surprise, this guy is a playoff performer ever since his time in Minnesota as well. Nino Niederreiter, come playoff time, is a guy you want in the lineup. So Jarvis and Niederreiter make it 2-0 in the final 5 minutes of the second period. 2-0 Carolina after 2. The third period, really it came down to Antti Raanta just like stealing this game for the Hurricanes. Like, he was completely on the mark. He was incredible this game for the Hurricanes. Made some highlight reel saves, goals that should have gone in for the Bruins. That Raanta, of a guy that, I saw his last appearance in the league during the regular season. It was a game at UBS Arena against the Islanders, and I remember there was a deflection shot by the Islanders that he seemed to take off it kind of deflected down, and he kind of had like an awkward, he had to pull himself back down, and I think he pulled something when he did that. So there was some concern. I mean, down the stretch, they went with Kochkov, and there was some questions, like, we knew Anderson wasn't going to start, but would Raanta, the second guy in line, be able to start? And Raanta, he looked like the starter tonight. He played incredible for the Carolina Hurricanes, and they end up winning this game 5-1. Obviously doesn't hurt when you get an empty netter in there from Svechnikov. Trocheck got just the dagger that kind of ended this game. Teravainen scored as well. The same suspects for the Hurricanes get on the board. This is kind of how I'm expecting it to play out. The question is, can the Bruins steal a game in Carolina further down this series, whether in game 2 or potentially game 5? That's kind of where this is gonna turn. But at the end of the day, I mean, give credit to Carolina. They were dominant. I mean, honestly, they were dominant in this game. Nothing against Linus Ullmark. He didn't play a terrible game, but he definitely wasn't up to the standard of the guy on the other side, which was Antti Raanta. He was absolutely incredible for the Canes tonight, and the Canes go up 1-0 in this series. Moving on to really, I think, the marquee matchup of this year's first round, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning, the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, going up to Toronto to play in Ontario, which the Maple Leafs, we know there is a lot of pressure on Kyle Dubas, Sheldon Keefe, and the core four to get this team. I'm not even talking about past the first round. You have to win. You have to win. Like, I'm saying, like, Eastern Conference Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, or Cup or bust. Like, they need to go on a deep run. They're going to have a pretty tough team here to start things off, though. Like I said, the Lightning, they're not going to give it up too easily. But in game one, it was all Toronto. I mean, Toronto played incredible in this game. Jake Muzzin got the first goal of this game, just showing a little bit of the depth, getting some goal support here. And the Leafs got off to an early start. 1-0 Toronto. Get into the second period, and this is when it started to become sort of a barn burner up at Scotiabank Arena. Austin Matthews gets on the board, a power play goal. Just a few minutes after that, David Kampf gets a shorthanded goal. So a power play goal and a shorthanded goal in a 5-minute span halfway through this hockey game. And the Leafs kind of took over. It was already 3-0 at the halfway mark. Mitch Marner, he's taken a lot of heat for his playoff performances recently. He gets a goal here in the second period, so it's 4-0. Austin Matthews gets his second of the game halfway into the third period. And that's all she wrote. Jack Campbell played great. He looked like the goalie that they need right now. He was incredible for them. But give credit to the Leafs. I think they stunned the NHL, including the Lightning. Like, I think they really showed what they're about this year. I had the Lightning winning this series in 7 games. I think as the series goes along, is that little bit of doubt going to creep into the Leafs? We've seen them do that before. They went up 3-1 on the Montreal Canadiens just last season, and they had been making the playoffs year after year. And all of a sudden, that little seeded doubt, that Jesperi Kotkaniemi overtime winner, Suzuki putting away some games, and all of a sudden that doubt crept into the organization. So what are they going to do this time around if that comes to fruition? And maybe they've turned the table, maybe a little bit more pressure on Tampa here in this first round series. Maybe it could be the lightning rod that gets them going, pun intended, for the rest of this year's playoffs. But definitely not the start that I think that the Lightning were hoping for. And really, Toronto's top 6 was good. I mean, John Tavares was in there a couple times. He had a couple chances. Obviously, Marner and Matthews getting a couple goals. They looked really good. I think the Leafs, this is going to be a very entertaining series. And I'm really not sure how it's going to end up. But so far, I'm really impressed with the Leafs. Moving on to the Western Conference game. So we have the St. Louis Blues heading out to Minnesota in Minneapolis. And Ville Husso gets the start for the Blues. Give credit here to Ville Husso. He gets a shutout in this game up in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the state of hockey comes home empty in game 1. Literally, no goals. A big goose egg on the board for the Wild, who have a pretty good offense. Really, this shows the stats that we were talking about in our preview. The Minnesota Wild are good, but the St. Louis Blues can score and score more proficiently, and they can also play that domineering game in terms of their defensive mentality. They built up that lead, and they really weren't ever going to relinquish it. You're looking at the game overall. 2 goals in the first period, a goal from David Perron, that's a power play goal, and Ryan O'Reilly, the captain, getting on the board